As he said, I'm Meg. I had the absolute privilege of being one of Sue's students when I studied here, contextual theology. And as if, I could really emphasize any more than what Sue said of how critically important contextual theology is. I'm going to try and kind of almost merge what we've already heard together. I don't know if you've heard of Silence by Endo. It is a Japanese novel. It's also become a film. But there's a very salient image that the author presents. He said of Japan that it is a swamp that the gospel cannot grow in. We often think about contextual theology, and Stephen Bevins often uses the illustration of a plant. If you take the plant and root it and plant it somewhere else, is it going to thrive? And clearly Endo's summation was no, the gospel can't thrive in Japan. But maybe he just didn't have the eyes of compost. Because one of the reasons that we think the gospel hasn't thrived is because of a lack of contextual theology. The Japanese are, Christianity has a very good reputation. Jesus is a lovely man for a lot of people, but he's other. Christianity is Western. Why would we want that? And so it's critically important that the gospel is contextualized and that we help, particularly Japanese people, find that expression of, well, what does a Japanese church look like? I've been a couple of times, and it is remarkable. When I stepped into the first church I ever went to in Japan, I felt like I was in the UK maybe 50 years ago, because the structure was similar. Even the structure of the service with hymns, you sit down, you sit up, you light a candle at the right time. It felt almost like I'd gone back in time in the UK. And perhaps, as there's no surprise that Japan is, the Japanese are the second largest unreached people group. So we can see that there is a very clear need of contextualization for the gospel there. And just like David and Angela, that is my heart. I would love to see that happen, to be involved in that process, to help the Japanese see that Jesus is for them, that he loves them, he loves their culture. Because we know theology shapes how we see God, but also how we see ourselves, how we behave, exactly as Sue shared. And wouldn't it be amazing, as David said earlier, that rather than the second largest unreached people group, that Japan transformed into one of the largest sending people groups in the world? Like that's my vision, that's my heart to see. I've got some prayer letters if anyone would like to read them. I'm currently in the process of joining OMF as a missionary. I've done my theological training tick. They do ask for it, and I do recommend All Nations as a theological training college, should you wish to explore. A little plug there. But yes, if you would like to join me on the journey of that, and I'm sure David and Angela, we've got links and prayer news to share. I'll try and drop it in the chat at some point, or I've got some physical copies for those in the room. Thank you.